Okay, today we're going to talk about literal equations. What is a literal equation? It is an equation that involves several variables. So a literal equation just is an equation that has more than just x or just y, okay? So you have, here's an example of one. You have c equals 2 pi r. That's actually considered, the actual name of it's a literal equation. And then you also have, another example would be p equals 2l plus 2w. And I'll go ahead and apologize for my voice on the video now. All right, so how do we solve literal equations, okay? Well, when you're solving a literal equation, what they're wanting you to do is they're going to say, here's the equation, solve for r. And when they say solve for r, what they're saying is isolate r all by itself, okay? So if they're trying to get you to solve an equation for a variable, they just want it isolated by itself, just like I would say solve for x. Solve for x, you put everything on one side and you put x on the other, right? Same thing, it's just they're going to switch the variables on you now. So step one is we need to locate the variables you want to solve for. And then we're going to follow the rules for solving equations to isolate the chosen variable. Okay? So let's look at this. Example 1. X plus b equals a. It says solve for x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that x right there. I need x all by itself. So let's rewrite this. X plus b equals a. Okay? Now, if I want x by itself, and y'all can answer me even though I'm filming, what do I need to do?
Subtract b.
Subtract b from both sides. So if you like your equation wall, you can subtract b. X equals a minus b. And you're done. That's how you solve a literal equation. Okay? Let's flip it over and look at number 2. Okay? Number 2 says CD equals 10. Solve for D. So I'm going to highlight D. Now, the reason I'm highlighting, y'all, is just it makes me stay focused on the variable I'm trying to isolate, and that's it. All right, so how would I isolate D by itself? We're dividing by C. Why? Because C is attached to D due to multiplication. So what you do to one side, you have to do the other, right? And you have to do the opposite, or you have to do the inverse operation. That cancels out. D equals 10 over C. And you're done. Y'all think you got the hang of it? Pretty easy concept, isn't it? All right, now we have 4a minus b equals c. And this time it's saying solve for a. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to highlight the 4a. Because that 4 is connected to the a, right? So I've got to get everything else away from it, and then I'll concentrate on getting a by itself. So what's my first step? Add b on both sides. Now we're left with 4a equals, and I like putting it in alphabetical order, y'all. This is the way you're going to see it is alphabetical order. B plus c. Now a is still not by itself, so now what do? Divide by 4. This cancels out, so your answer is a equals b plus c over 4. All right, the last one. Y equals wx minus z over a. Now, this one says it wants you to solve for x. Okay, does anybody remember what is the first step when you have something like this? Can I even get to my x?
No.
What's in my way?
The A.
The a. So how do I undo that operation with a? It's being divided, so we're going to multiply. So multiply by A. Multiply by A. So now we have AY equals WX minus Z. Now remember, we still got to get X by itself. Sorry, I should have highlighted that W. Now what do? Add Z. Okay, and I'm actually going to go over here now. All right. So now I have AW plus Z equals WX. Now what do? Exactly. Divide by W. So AY plus Z over W equals X. And that is how you'll solve a literal equation. Just make sure that when you're solving these equations that you have to solve for the variable it's asking you to solve for. Okay? So when it's asking you to solve for A or B or Z or D, you have to isolate that variable by itself and put everything else on the other side following your rules of equations.